Over the next 4 days, Winston and I are driving to Dallas, Texas, which is, first of all, 1,000 miles. But we're meeting up with SX Race Team. It's a Supercross team that's competing this season, and we're going to help film some of their media. So we're going to use drones, free-fly wave, cameras. We're shooting on the FX6 right now. We rented a camera for this, so we've got a ton of toys. We just got to make that long drive to get down there and shoot some awesome stuff with these guys. So let's hit the road. Let's go. On the way down to Dallas, we talked about what would be the most important stuff to capture, and we decided that it would be an important opportunity to experiment with a bunch of different setups to capture a very unique subject, taking advantage of the fact that this was a collaboration and not a paid project. So we had the luxury of potentially making mistakes because a setup didn't work the way we expected it to, for example. When we arrived at the Supercross track, we were greeted by the team, and it was time to get to work on answering that question. What is going to be the best possible setup to get that perfect footage at sunset? It was important to us to start with GoPro drones at first, because we're confident with them, because we know them and we know what to expect out of our 5-inch drones. We wanted to make sure we started to get the lines dialed in, to know what the riders are going to do, and to make sure that we started with the least risk possible. It gave us the opportunity to figure those things out without putting anyone or any gear, or at least significant gear, at risk. After we got more confident with what the riders were going to do, that we knew what the lines that they were going to ride were, it was time to switch to our first non-GoPro setup. And the first thing we went with was the Sony FX6 with a slightly narrower 17mm lens to see if we could create depth of field between the rider and the background. It feels way more reasonable in the goggles than it did line of sight. Like, it feels the same as with the Wave. Honestly, this is flying like a champ. Are you looking at the screen? You know, honestly, that was way less of a thing than I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be a kind of a nasty to fly it around, but like, it did great. It looks so big on here, but it's really not that heavy, relatively speaking. I was worried that wind was going to be kind of like buffeting up against it, but I didn't really notice too much of that either. So I'm excited to see what that footage looks like. I think there's definitely going to be moments in there. Different directors and different DPs, that's directors of photography, have different requests for payloads. So making sure we know what the difference is between each of these platforms and how each of them flies on the drone and what the lens is actually capturing is very, very important. We realized very quickly that the 17mm lens was a little bit too narrow for the job that we wanted to accomplish, so we swapped to a 12mm lens for a little bit of extra field of view, and we were blown away by the result. final camera we added into the mix was the FreeFly Wave. This camera gives us the ability to slow down time by almost 20 times, and we can see individual rocks being kicked up by the roost of the tires, creating a very unique and engaging perspective that the other cameras simply cannot provide. We ran this again with that same 12mm lens because we learned what looked best on the FX6. How's today going so far?
Today's a good day. Playing with some different gear. Gotten a lot of photos. Got to fly my drone on the job, which is not always what happens. It's a good day. I think that's what you're going for there, right?
Yeah, kind of a little more flare though.
Probably. I'll swap to my other lens too, because this thing is really tight. But no, that one worked well. Your body's in the shadow, so I like this one better because you're lit. I like it from the top.
Because we have the opportunity to work through the whole day to make sure that we have the most killer setup for golden hour, we landed on the FX6 with the 12mm. Between the ultra-wide field of view combined with the built-in variable ND filter, we were able to get the best look straight out of the body of the camera, and we wanted to spend the best light of the day shooting with that ultimate setup. Since we were capturing content for the team as a whole, we also wanted to get some cool, fun shots of the team as a whole kind of working together. So we have these cool shots of them riding wheelies through an open field. We have them doing jumps and kind of celebrating each other. All this good stuff to kind of use it as an opportunity for SX to promote themselves as a part of Supercross. And we're so stoked with how they turned out. In the end, it was an awesome day testing out a bunch of different camera platforms to see what was going to give us the best picture possible, and we were blown away by what we got out of the FX6, like to the point where we're considering buying one. Like, it's an expensive, like $6,000 camera, and we're like, I think we gotta have one of these. Thank you so much to SX Race Team for putting your bodies on the line and letting us join you for a track day. We hope that you all enjoyed coming along with us for this adventure. Please consider using affiliate links in the description below, liking and subscribing, all of that good stuff. Stay flying.
I got big goals, baby. Hey, where the money at? Look, I just need the info. Pronto, I go and get it, split it with my kinfolk daily, and I'm the type of that might change my number on you. Yeah, that's how you react when people took a slumber on you. Pretty brown skin, baby, I can see the summer on you. You see all the bread, and I know it make you wonder, don't you, don't you, don't you? Ooh, I ain't surprised at all. Seen them rise and fall. Went up the mountain, it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top, I found some relief. I finally got some peace. Carry on, but please don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. No, I need it, beat it, before you mess up the mood. Yeah, ooh, I worked too hard for it, and I need it, so please don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it. Yeah. Don't mess up the mood. Oh, it's so crucial, I gotta keep it. It's in the ass everywhere. No, it's not a secret, and I bet they didn't think that I'd ever get it. Everything you've done, I get it. The life you dreaming, I live it, and I'm coming in. How you better get out the kitchen? Yeah, I could make a hit on whatever you pitching. Baby, let me fill up whatever you missing. Or you like it up at the top, it's a better view in it. I'm not surprised at all, no it ain't what you need, come on, just pay the fee, I supply it all. Went up the mountain and it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top I found some relief, you see, so please don't mess up the mood. Yeah, I worked too hard for it, no I need it, beat it, before you mess up the mood. Alright, ooh, I worked too hard for it, and I need it, so please don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Don't mess up the mood. Yeah, oh come on, I worked too hard for it. Yeah, don't mess up the mood. Oh, it's so crucial, I gotta keep it. It's in the ass everywhere. up at the top, it's a better view, isn't it? I'm not surprised at all, no it. Hey, what you need? Come on, just pay the fee, I supply it all. Went up the mountain and it wasn't hard to climb at all. At the top I found some relief, you see, so please don't